Sheffield Wednesday missed a great chance to take a huge step towards Europe yesterday. Hammered 5-1 at Upton Park and David Hirst was sent off. We'll gloss over Leeds United's 8th goalless draw of the season and take a look at the transfer rumour mill, which speculates that AC Milan are ready to bid £15 million for Manchester United's David Beckham. Jurgen Klinsmann could be set for a return to Spurs, and Atletico Madrid are poised to pay Middlesbrough £20 million for Juninho and Emerson. That deal depends on whether or not Borough go down, which is still on the cards despite games in hand and a last-minute winner against Aston Villa yesterday. A result which does at least mean that Sheffield Wednesday's European destiny still lies in their own hands. If they win their remaining 2 games, they'll definitely qualify for the UEFA Cup. Now let's return to this afternoon's action in the First Division. Here's John again.
Barnsley reserved their worst performance of the season for the last match. Good job they were already up before meeting Oxford, who went ahead through Jerry Beecham. Former Sheffield Wednesday striker Nigel Jemson has had an outstanding first season at the Manor Ground. He was the next to beat David Watson. And the Barnsley keeper was left grasping thin air again before half-time when he completely misjudged Beecham's in-swinging corner. It was certainly a question of after the Lord Mayor show for Danny Wilson's side, who went further behind in the second half. Jovo Bazancic pulling down Jemson. The striker tucked away a simple penalty to take his season's tally to 23. But at least one Barnsley player had some pride left in him, and after Martin Bullock's run, Neil Redfearn struck his 19th personal best for a season. Oxford still had the last word though. The Barnsley defence embarrassingly absent as Mike Ford stole in to convert Beecham's cross. Oxford United 5, Barnsley 1.
Sheffield United could have been forgiving for having minds on other matters, the impending playoffs, but they should have won at Charlton. Andy Scott clean through on goal, but blocked eventually by Richard Rufus. It finished goalless at the Valley.
There was a similarly disappointing end to the season at the McAlpine Stadium. Huddersfield did create the day's best chance against Swindon, but Tom Cowan's cross resulted in a disappointing header in the downpour from Wayne Burnett. Huddersfield 0, Swindon 0.
So here's confirmation of the final standings in the First Division. At the bottom, Grimsby, Oldham and Southend are relegated. Bradford survive. Not a season to remember for injury-hit Huddersfield, though they ended comfortably clear of danger. The final round of matches didn't affect the placings at the top. Bolton's 2-2 draw at Tranmere means they fell just short of a record 100 points, though they did achieve one milestone, a century of goals.
Big day coming up at Bramall Lane on Saturday. Ipswich provide the opposition to Sheffield United in the playoff semi-final first leg. Wolves meet Crystal Palace in the other game. Now back to John for our roundup of yesterday's league action.
So a momentous season for Chesterfield comes to an end. The only goal against relegated Notts County scored fittingly by Mark Williams, the man whose goal in the first round of the FA Cup against Bury back in November set them off on that epic journey to Old Trafford and Hillsborough. Fittingly, the end of the game, a standing ovation for manager John Duncan and his players. Chesterfield 1, Notts County 0.
Their second division place assured, York City relaxed and with a better side against Crewe, taking the lead after Rodney Rowe's footwork opened the way for Mark Tinkler's first goal since an £80,000 move from Leeds United. Crewe are in the playoffs, but they were happy to settle for a point yesterday. Ashley Westwood header early in the second half. York City 1, Crewe Alexandra 1.
It's been a miserable season for Rotherham, but at least it ended on a high note. They took the lead in the 21st minute, Trevor Berry reacting quickest after Andy Haywood's header had rebounded off the woodwork. It could be Berry's last goal for the club. He's been given a free transfer. Of course, the main reason the Millers are where they are in the table is the goals against column. And the Rovers' equaliser 10 minutes before half-time was fairly typical of their defensive failings. An own goal from Mark Munnington. But to their credit, Rotherham buckled down in a manner that will at least give hope for next season. Darren Garner connected with Andy Roscoe's pinpoint cross 3 minutes before half-time. Bristol Rovers 1, Rotherham 2, and that's a result that means the Millers avoid the ignominy of finishing bottom. They move above Notts County by virtue of scoring more goals. For the second year running, York finished just one place above the drop zone. Chesterfield end up in 10th, but only 5 points behind Crewe, who take the final playoff spot. Bury go up as champions.
Even the most optimistic Lincoln City fans knew it was win or bust at Sinsel Bank, but Rochdale went in party mood, the crowd stunned by Keith Hill's header. Former Bradford and Huddersfield winger Mark Stewart also struck, and it was all over for another season. If Lincoln had won, they would have been in the playoffs instead of Cardiff City. And this was John Beck's reaction.
You only get what you deserve in this game, and we wasn't quite good enough today. I think the occasion got to the players a little bit. It was a hot, sultry day, and it was hard for us to pick up the tempo. We had our chances, but we didn't convert them.
Just over 3,500 fans saw Hull slump to their lowest ever position in the Football League. The calls for manager Terry Dolan's head simply intensified when Troy Bennett's free kick put Scarborough in front. Hull's ownership and perhaps the future of Boothby Park itself could be decided soon. It's even conceivable that this could be the last goal ever scored on the ground if its rumoured sale goes through. Mark Wells was the man who scored it to give Scarborough a 2-0 victory.
Mansfield were the sacrificial lambs at Wigan, the home side knowing victory would enable them to clinch the Third Division Championship. It wasn't until the first minute of the second half, though, that Graham Lancashire headed them in front. The jubilation that accompanied that goal repeated minutes later, David Lowe bundling the ball over the line. Wigan had their trophy, pipping Fulham to the title on goals scored.
Scunthorpe ended on a low, 1 goal at the Sixfield Stadium. John Gale's through ball finished off by Sean Parrish with the help of a deflection off Mark Satori that gave Tim Clark no chance. Northampton 1, Scunthorpe 0.
Kerry Dixon won't forget his first season as manager of Doncaster Rovers in a hurry. At least it ended on a bright note with victory over Torquay. Colin Cram's cross steered inside the upright by Simon Ireland. Cram also played his part in the second goal with just 12 minutes played. Martin McDonald's shot taking a huge deflection off the apparently unconcerned Wayne Thomas. Torquay raised themselves to set up a grandstand finish. Wayne Hockley here driving a shot beneath Gary O'Connor. Tony Beddoes swipe at the ball, almost a fresh air shot, but the ball crossed the line. Doncaster held on to win 2-1. Hereford lost their Football League status after 25 years. Doncaster had 5 points to spare. It was another disappointing campaign for Hull, and Scunthorpe always looked a mid-table side. The season petered out for Mansfield and Scarborough, though both nurtured hopes of the playoffs until the last couple of weeks. Lincoln were the best placed of the region's third division clubs in 9th.
Well, now a dip into the Vauxhall Conference and Halifax Town's battle against relegation, which they appear to be losing when Paul Stoneman deflected a shot past his own keeper. It was a real roller coaster ride this for Town fans. They were lifted when Mick Norbury equalised in the 27th minute, but then sent back down into a trough of despondency as Stevenage retook the lead through Barry Hales. But by half-time it was level again, Norbury with his second. And it was a controversial refereeing decision that swung the contest Town's way. That was ruled to be a back pass, and Norbury took a leaf out of Alan Shearer's book to slam home the indirect free kick and complete his hat-trick. A goal in injury time from substitute Jeff Horsfield, the signal for altogether happier scenes than the tearful pitch invasion that followed Town's relegation from the Football League 4 years ago. Halifax 4, Stevenage 2. They needed to win since rivals Bath came from behind to beat Northwich. Halifax escape. It's Bath who go down.
This being the last week, we've chosen our team of the season. Leeds United's Nigel Martin just edged out Kevin Pressman for the keeper's jersey. Wednesday do have 2 representatives, Ian Nolan and Mark Fembridge. Barnsley's marvellous season is reflected in the selections of John Hendrie and Neil Redfearn. Nigel Pepper starred for both York and Bradford, and the rest of the side is made up of Scarborough's Gary Bennett, Chesterfield's Sean Dyche, Huddersfield's Tom Cowan, and the prolific third division pair Gareth Ainsworth of Lincoln